Hey everybody, this is Mike. You're watching the Reelblack podcast, and we're at the Philly Camp Studios today with my good friends Mike Pender and ATIF Lanier, and they have a brand new project that's out there now on streaming and demand called "If It Ain't Got That Swing."
What you doing, Cat Daddy? Man, relax with all that.
Hey, if I expect to make it big, I gotta stay sharp, all right?
Freeze! My brother's sister's cousin's wife then gave me the scoop.
The scoop.
The scoop.
Keep your filthy hands to yourself, you hear me?
If it ain't got that swing, tell the folks about
Mike?
Well, Swing is a web series that actually came out because of requests or demand for it. Because what actually happened was ATIF and I set out to do a feature-length project, and we started out with the first 20 pages of the script, did the premiere at the Pearl, was received really well. Then we hit the festival circuit with it, received really well. How many awards did we win? Two? Three?
Two. One in Spain and one in the Caribbean.
Yeah, we won 2 awards, but one of the constant things that people kept saying is, you guys should make this a web series.
They kept saying, what's the next episode? We were like, it's not an episode, it's a short film. They were like, you should make it. Like you said, you should make it. Because our whole goal, since we didn't reach our crowdfunding campaign, is to shoot 20 pages. And end up, it's just turned into like I was in St. Louis with the film. And when we did it down there in the film at the movie theater, the people liked it. They said, that's a great episode 1. When's episode 2 come out? I said, why do people keep saying one episode? They said, well, it's not even an episode. And then finally I said, you know what? Let's do this episode thing.
Well, is that the worst thing that can happen? Like when you
No, but you got to remember,
Well,
if your goal was to make a 90-minute movie and suddenly you're like, oh man, we were kind of like, that's not what set out to do.
right, but I'm saying, like, you know, when you put your heart and soul into something and
Correct.
you do the best you can and you share it with people, and then, you know, their immediate reactions, where's more? You know,
Right. That's good.
It's a good thing, or
It's validation. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is that it's almost like you're in the, I mean, let me just say it like this. The people who made Viagra weren't trying to make Viagra for its purpose. They're trying to make, you know, a blood pressure medication.
Right.
So in the process, you're like, oh, well, by the way, it also does this. So that's how we were kind of like, we were trying to make a full-length movie. We were kind of like, I didn't ever think about doing a web series.
So it took on its own life.
Correct.
So far, yeah. And this,
So for those, what's the premise? I know it's set in 1940 in the Phillies,
I'll
in
tell you
19 Philadelphia.
Well, the best way to put it is, let me just give you a little quick backstory. Back in 2000, I wrote a play. I called it Swing. He actually was laughing at me because I met Mike in college as well. But he was like, what are you writing? He's writing Harlem Nights? And I was like, no, I wrote a play called Swing. He said, what's it about? I said, it's about the 1940s era. He's like, yeah, Harlem Nights. I said, no, Harlem Nights is in the 30s, number one. Number two is not the same thing. So when he read it, he actually
Was it McDowell's versus McDonald's? No, we don't have any sesame seeds.
No, he read the script. He liked it. We made a successful play of it. But the premise of it is basically it's about a guy named Trip, played by myself, who's trapped between the police and a mysterious gangster in 1945. He soon finds out things on what they seen. So on the surface, people might say, oh, it's X, Y, Z, but the more you see it, even the play, there's a lot of reveals. I'm not going to reveal what happens, but basically, the reason I wrote it, it takes place in 1940 through 1945 respectively. However, the problems with the black people at that time are the same problems now. And that's one of the things when we did the play, they were like, you know what, there's a Trip now. There's a real life Trip. There's a real life this person. These people are all current characters, which shows you that as a people, granted the fact we've survived 73 years later, the problem is these same problems persist within black people. So this is the whole goal of the thing. It's like this is a story set in the 40s, but it's relevant now. In fact, some people who read it liked the script. It's like, well, let's make it a modern day story. I was like, it doesn't hit the same way as a modern day story, but it's the same problems going on now.
Right. Well, I mean, that's I mean, looking back at your work, one thing that remains consistent, you know, outside of your friendship is that your work always seems to seek to. I mean, you guys are all college educated. That's the first thing.
Correct.
Like college educated black men making art, and it seems like by hook or crook, there's certain stories that you want to tell, and it's always imbued with a level of consciousness. So I always appreciate what you guys do for that.
Thank you. We appreciate that, especially coming from
the
you.
Negro Zone and Computer
Again,
Love.
a movie we made. Another thing, talk about stumbling upon something. He and I just wrote a script that we wanted to get an ABFF's short film thing. And we didn't get in that. We just gave up on it. And then suddenly, one of our friends submitted it to his other festival. And I remember he called me. He said, "We won an award." I said, "Where?" He said, "The festival." I said, "We weren't even there." And he was like, "Yeah." And then I remember we got one award. We were looking at it oh, that's cool. And the next, it started this train, I guess a runaway train. It was like, you got another award.
Meet work brother. Educated, experienced, about to embark on his first day at the job. Or should I say, behind enemy lines.
Yo, man, I'm starting to hear things again.
You had called me because we were still in touch from next Tuesday, and you said to me, "Hey, listen," you was like, "I want to put your thing in Best of Philly Shorts," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "A Negro Zone," and I was like, "What I couldn't figure out was where you saw it. You saw I watched it, or I really enjoyed it," and I was like, "This keeps happening." So it's kind of like, but the point is, not to get off the subject real quick, but like you said, it always has some level of social consciousness. So therefore, that's what's been successful with. Because I'll let him say this: when he went to England, the black people there were the same way. Remember you said that?
Yeah, I was. My mind was blown away. One, as an artist, you always appreciate when people enjoy your work and let you know they enjoy it. But when you go across the pond, as they say, and you're surrounded by people who are treating you like you're a celebrity that you've never met before from another continent, who are praising the why they enjoyed the film, why they thought the film was important. And I had one guy argue me what I was trying to say with the film. That was mind blowing, because that was something as a young filmmaker growing up North Philly, that was never my intention, was to have that happen. But when it happens, it's beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, that brings us. That's 2007. Now we're in 2019 or 2003 for Negro Zone.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, because we screened
04 for you.
Best of Philly Shorts. Yeah, it was the first season, second season, first year. Were we still at
Sedgwick.
Prince? We went to Sedgwick.
We went to
first year at
Sedgwick.
the Sedgwick. So yeah, it's season 2. And we're in season 16. So that you guys can do the math there. So a lot has changed within the landscape. I mean, last time we sat down 10 years ago, we were just talking also like a DIY movement. And now so many people that started off in independence are now in the mainstream and having an impact and a cultural impact in a lot of ways. Even like today as we record this, Donald Glover just dropped what they call a film, a movie, straight to Amazon Prime and stopped everybody in their tracks. They got to see what they did and all this stuff. So there's a greater impact on the cultural landscape now with the work that we're creating. So I mean, how do you see things have changed, and what momentum do we have here in Philadelphia?
I think that's a great question. I think one of the things as far as the momentum part, I think because filmmaking technology is more affordable than when I know we were in college. So I think it's easier. I think because of all the streaming services, people view it as an opportunity to have or to get their project out there more. So I think what's happening is I'm bumping into and I'm running into a lot of new filmmakers. I love it when they try to pick my mind, but I'm running into a lot of them and they're doing their thing, and it's all just from the muscle. I know I don't consider myself a classic trained filmmaker, even though I went to film school. But these guys are doing different things and they're learning special effects like on the fly. And I think also too, which we gotta talk about, is cell phones. I think cell phones are completely changing the game, because this guy likes to always bring up, you basically have a production studio in your pocket. You can write your script. You can shoot your film, you can edit your film, and blast it out there to the public right away. Whether it's just going straight to social media, if you're going to a streaming service, you just want to pass it to all your friends, it's all right there at your fingertips. So there's no excuses not to make a film anymore.
Let me piggyback on that. Like he said, I think, and you're definitely from the age of film as well. I think at one point in time it was about the have and have-nots. It was an elitist thing to say, look, I can make a movie because I have the money to get a camera and all this stuff, right? So like I said, it's true. Right now, what I find right now, the movement has been DIY, and also the gatekeepers are going. What I mean by that is, obviously, there is still the thing where it's that you want to make a $300 million profit, you got to get, the majors behind you. But like you said, you have a YouTube channel, correct? So right now, we can make a movie about this, and tomorrow it's on YouTube. We can get 1 million hits by the end of the week, and we've made a movie. So I think right now the problem is, not problem, what's good is that, the good part about it is this, it's somewhere accessible. It's so accessible now, right, that everybody can do it. The problem becomes where is that, in my opinion, as far as the revenue is concerned, where some people still ideas to get to X, Y, Z, so there's so much material, it's harder now. But I'm going to say one last thing about this as well. When I was in St. Lucia, I did a workshop of filmmaking. And one of the things I told the people down there, I said, they were all hikers from America, right? I said, we can make a movie right now. Let's go outside. And we went outside, walked around the streets of this town. I'm just videotaping stuff. I said, look, you can edit this. And I edited it for him. And he was like, oh. And that night, I'm walking around. The greatest thing was that night, and I walked around. I was going to a restaurant. My students were outside making a movie. They were sitting on the street, like, making movies. Yo, you want to be moving? I said, we're making it. We're making it. Dope. And they had, like, the camera on their phone, the light on. That's the lighting. So while it might not be a $45 million budget from Hollywood, it's out there. And like I believe there's no excuse now. Because like you said, you have a very successful YouTube channel. It takes time to build up. I mean, it's not like it's like, well, Monday, after this, and Tuesday. No, it takes time. But you have your own platform. No matter what you want to make, if you decide to make a movie about donuts, bacon, tomorrow it's like this, look, it's on my channel. You know what I'm saying? Bacon. But you feel what I'm saying? It's on there, and you got it. Before, he had asked before, we're like, you know what? I'm going to send it to the president of Fox. He going to like this, and we got to sit down and talk, and we got to get all these people. Now I said, look, I got a channel on YouTube. I got 5 million hits. What's up?
Well, I mean, that's I think that's obvious to everyone, that level of technology. But then you still decided to forgo that whole path and make swing yourself. What were the factors in terms of needing to do it then there, as opposed to finding, like literally, you guys were on the radio show. You said, I forgot what your goal was, but at a certain point you said, well, whatever we have, we're just going to go out and make this. What was the impetus to do it that way?
Because that's pretty much end of the day, he gonna laugh at it. Maybe because people always say I talk him into stuff. But anyway, I told him that. I said, look, man, we want to get $50,000, right? That was the goal. I said, if we don't get $50,000, we'll have, let's say, $5,000, hypothetically. What are we gonna do with it? He was like, well, look, let's just shoot the first 20 pages. Period. Call it a day. Okay? Because what I said to him was, let's find something that tells the story enough to get people intrigued. And stop it right there. And inadvertently, we did what ended up happening. We got people interested, except we didn't plan to make it episodically, what have you. And the big thing I'll say real quick and let him chime in is that you already know this as a filmmaker. The problem is you got to get real creative to make movies. Because at the end of the day, money. I mean, people, you can meet a millionaire. But look, man, I got this movie idea. Suddenly they get cheap. I don't have any money. Just put them in the Phantom. Oh, well, that's my Phantom. Wait a minute, you live in a $5 million house. Well, what I mean? You don't got $10,000? No. You know that. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I understand it's not a traditional business. People get nervous because you give all this money, and be like, I invested in a film and it didn't do anything. So what happens is that any filmmaker, no matter what level you're on, whether you're making $5 movies, $5 million movies, it's always money. And you got to get real creative. I'm going to say one last thing. I'll let him say this. When I was at ABFF one year, people that we look up to, right? Black people in the industry that we look up to, right? When they sat and talked about their struggles, it gets, wow. It might not be your struggle. I mean, you might be trying to get $50,000, trying to get 50 million, but the point is they're doing the same thing you're doing on a higher level. Right. I'm still trying to get money. And no matter who you are, that's a problem. So you got to say to yourself, like, man, how do they get it done? People said they mortgaged their house. Mm-hmm. They sold cars. They sold X, Y, Z. I'm talking movies we see on TV. That these black people who've made movies that were successful said, this is what I had to do. One of the producers of Hustle and Flow said they had to mortgage her house. She said took a loan against her mortgage. Said, this I got to make it because nobody would give the money. And you saw that the rest is history.
So we still have to operate out of necessity, or is it just your personal love and passion for telling stories?
Well, see, like I said, I think our thing originally, not
because I go back and forth on it. I mean, I think it's super ambitious to do swing, set in the 40s in Philadelphia. And certainly having money and resources solves a lot of problems in terms of when you bring it to an audience and what their expectations are from a film set in that time period that goes beyond story or whatever. So if you shoot on your cell phone, if you shoot it on a Black Magic, if you shoot it on an Arri or whatever you're shooting it on, the audience still is the same, and you have to find ways to captivate them, catch their imagination, just to sit down, even on the toilet.
But guess what, though? Let me say this real quick. But guess what? The thing about it is this. I think people respect you more when they discover you did this on your certain level. Let's be honest. What we did was this, and he can tell you this, because I'm like, I'm a little neurotic. He was laughing, make fun of me. He gonna matter of fact leave here. He gonna imitate me. Wants to leave like, yo, you just doing this. But anyway, for Swing, what I did was at night, after I got done working, I would actually ride around old parts of Philly, Northern Liberties, Fishtown, Port Richmond, because it's still old and beat up. You know what I'm saying? So, but these buildings are 100 years old, 150 years old. I said, let's go shoot there. Was it guerrilla filmmaking? Yes, one night we was out there having a party. We had to go knock and say, listen, guys, we know you're partying, but can you give us 10 minutes? And they did it. But what happened is, one thing we got, is because you said that, he can tell you this. The thing that we got was really good is that as far as the atmosphere looked, and my grandmother is 95 years old. She was 21 in 1945. She was there. When she watched the movie, she said, you know what? She had little critiques because she lived through it. But she said, okay. She said, where'd you find that street? Looks like South Street back in the day when it was horse and buggy. She remember telling me South Street was horse and buggies and fruit. We walk down the street, you know what I'm saying? We found old places and used that. And the big thing, guy, was a lot of people said, y'all got it. You guys went back in time to the old places. They gave us that. Now, were there some times where you would have turned, you saw old building here, you turn around, see a skyscraper? Of course. Little small things, people like, yo, man, this Liberty Place. Right. Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? That was there. But for the most part, we were sitting there like, yo, we found an old building from 1901. Seriously, it said on the building, and we said, this is 1901.
Well, I'm not critiquing the production value. I'm analyzing the spirit.
Right.
That makes you just say, I'm not going to wait for permission. I don't care if Fox wants this or not. This is a story that's strong in my heart, and whatever resources I have, I'm going to use it to get this thing done. That's what I'm speaking to. And then once it's finished, it has its own reward. And
right.
I'm sure you guys can speak to that as well.
I'll say this. I want to go back a little bit. First, I got to give this man credit because as a writer, I know some of the material he has and everything else. And I will say Swing is one of my favorite pieces that he wrote because he originally wrote it as a stage play, which we're leaving out. We actually toured the country with a different colleges and university. From the University of Georgia, we drove all the way down to Athens, did a performance there, had a great response. Was at UVA, University of Rhode Eastern Shore. Like, the list goes on. Like, all these colleges, whether it was packed seats or sparse seats, everybody pretty much had the same reaction on how they were affected by the play. Just overall, I just always loved the story. So when we got a chance to sit down and turn the stage play into a screenplay and even open up the world even a little bit more, I think that made the story bigger, which I always felt, to me, was the main attraction, was the story. But as a filmmaker, I love guerrilla filmmaking. I want a $50 million budget, of course, but if I don't get a $50 million budget or even $1 million budget for that matter, my thing is this story needs to be told. And that's how I know I operated. Like you said, we originally wanted dollar amount X, didn't get dollar amount X, we only got this. My whole thing at that point was, okay, let's, like you said, do the first 20 pages and put it out there, and I think we can get some fish. So fish still hasn't bitten yet, but I feel that as long as we keep pushing, there's always a possibility because, I've gotten a lot of great critique from people who've seen it. Like, I remember sending all 3 episodes when we dropped it for free on YouTube, trying to get people to watch it. Right. And somebody who I barely knew, I didn't even realize, actually came to the Computer Love premiere and loved that. But she said, hey, Mike, I couldn't wait to see you today. I finally watched it. I admit I was putting it off, but I cut out some time. I was like, let me watch Mike's movie. And then I watched the first episode. And I said, this is good. Then I watched the second episode. I said, oh, this is good. And I watched the third episode. This is really good. Where's it going to go next? Where's the next episode? And she's like, I started sending it to everybody. And she's like, I know I'm not rich, but I'll give you $20.
I can't even tell you out of business.
You can't read the sign out there that says whites only. Who the hell are you?
Oh, I read plenty. And the name's Black. Mississippi Black.
Black, blue, purple, brown. I don't care what your name is. Both of y'all better take y'all ugly colored faces out of here before my customers see you.
Your days of peddling colored flesh to your white customers is over.
Two things I like about Swing. I'll do one at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, also the fact that you shot it here in Philly, you utilized not only locations, but so much great talent that great actors alongside yourselves.
Well, here's the thing. We use, I would say it like this, the same way, like Spike Lee, for example.
You have to name some of the actors, but go ahead.
Well, you know how Spike Lee has, where all his movies, you know, you can pretty much, it's like just recycles people. There's nothing wrong with that. People knew from the beginning. Like he mentioned with Swing, when we first did this, we did casting for the play 17 years ago. We had Nakia Dillard. You know, Nakia Dillard, that's, you know, very good friend of ours.
Philly legend right there.
Yeah. And Keith Ballard. These two guys came through the audition.
Super talented.
And they've been with us ever since. I mean, every time there was a Swing, and then we said we're going to do the film, them guys were excited. Like, yo, we got to do it. Now, not to take credit from him, but he always said he jumped on the screenplay. I wrote the play in 2000. So some of these things from even further from me, when I envisioned writing these plays, I didn't know who these people were going to be. But when these characters, those two guys have brought these characters to life, like that's how I wrote these characters. They got it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we use them and, you know, what have you. And that's what makes it real because everybody's character is like me. He can tell you his life. I wasn't in the play. Wasn't supposed to be in the play. The only reason I'm in the play because one actress couldn't do it. They were like, T, you should play Trip. I was like, I don't want to be in the play. I didn't want to be in the play.
Right.
And then I got into it. Now I was like, yo, this is my favorite character. He can tell you that right now. I love this character because he's the best way to describe him. He's Malcolm Little before he came Malcolm X. And I'm a huge Malcolm X fan. You know what I mean? The movie as well as the book. But the point is, that's with the man, obviously. But that's how it came about. So we utilize great talent. There's a lot of great talent here. And the one thing about us, to the horn, I will to the horn right now. We travel. So most people know us, they say, look, if these cats making a movie, it's going somewhere. It's not going to be like, yo, it played in my brother's basement. No, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, it's playing where? You got a movie playing in Malaysia? Yeah.
Right.
So that's how it works.
Because you've laid the groundwork from your previous work.
Exactly.
That you know where these festivals are
and plus, he can tell you this. I'll say one thing. He makes fun of me, but I'm not afraid to ask. What I mean by that is, if I met you president, let's say you the president of Russia, y'all got a film department. Y'all got this movie for you. They're like this. I'll give you the movie. You gonna watch it or not? And that's how it usually happens. They be like, Tifa, how did you get a movie down in Brazil? I just started emailing people. Anybody speak English down there? Just respond back. And I'm dead serious. That's how I operate.
And getting back to the talented cast, like you said, we've been working with Nakia Dillard, Keith Ballard since 2003? Well, 2002. I actually started on a stage play, but we filmed a bond that goes beyond what we do in front of the camera or on stage. It goes past that. Like, I look at our group as like a family, and we have a family atmosphere. We have fun on the set. Everything else, we have fun off the set too. Like, I'm grateful to be able to work with not only those two guys, but Donovan Higgins, who we've been working with since our real first film that I guess nobody else will see because I teach in his garage.
Donovan Higgins, yes. We've known him since I met him in 1995. But I've been working 20 plus years, yeah.
And like Walter DeShields, who we've been working with for the last few years. Greg
2010.
Campbell.
Your lead actress is
Jacinth.
Well, her former name was Sutphin, but now she goes by Headlam. So people know her by both.
Yeah, all Philly born and bred talent. So,
or at least live in the area.
They live in the area. They're known in this scene.
So, but the good thing is, like, when you have people who ask to be in your project, like a Brian Anthony Wilson, like that was like a Facebook IM, like, yo, I want to be in Swing as Arizona Red, and I'm like, I got you.
And plus, the man who shot our movie, Mr. Mark Kohanowitz. Outstanding. Much like you, in the same time as your movie, I was his movie right before him. And 17 years later, we're still working together. He's a great cinematographer. He's a great friend. He came on, and he offers advice, and he wants to see the project work too. So, like you said, it's a constant thing. It's like, hey, look, you know what? People recognize good people. People recognize great work, and people in the work. Like you said, when people start to yo, when your next project, can I be in it? You kind of like, well, then you start feeling like you said, you start feeling like a little bit like you Coppola, like you like oh snaps, but that feels good because that means people recognize you for what you've done, what you can do.
So,
like I said, that's why. I mean, seriously, I'm not being smart. It's like let me commend you again, commend man again. For you, like I said, we respect you so much because number one, like I said, when we work together, but you also always reach your hand out, and also you do amazing things. So we know when you do an interview, You know,
I have
it's
superhuman power. You understand?
Well, I listen, but your superhuman power, it works. So we know that. We hold you in high regards. I'm seriously, and I want to commend you for that.
I tried to tell him that a couple times.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, so I appreciate that. So words of advice. I mean, how I mean, because the people literally when things go on YouTube, it hits the whole planet. Like you said,
Correct.
Does anybody speak English in Brazil? There are literally people watching this in Brazil.
Right.
Right. Guam. You know, if you look at the demographics on any of the videos, it drops everywhere. So I think the lesson here is you don't have to be in New York or LA to call yourself a filmmaker, and there are different levels to success or what you consider success. You guys have maintained successful relationships and continued to make consistent work.
Let me add something to that real quick. Excuse me. Years ago, I was interviewing Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle said when he first graduated high school, he said to his dad, "I want to be a comedian." This before his father passed. His father said, "Okay, well, I want to be a comedian." He said, "What's successful to you?" He said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "You know, you could be a comedian full time and make $29,000 a year. Is that successful to you?" He said, "My point is, son, you have to define success." So to answer your question, people think success, I did when I first got started, was that you on Access Hollywood and you pull up in the fan. I'm like, yo, I'm successful. And some people that, you know, that can happen. However, you have to realize that the biggest thing before success is also sustainability. But a success also is like, hey, these things happen. Like you said, you plant in seeds and footwork. So years later, it's like, yo, I can do these different things. So to me, you can be successful artistically, monetarily, but some people only think of success is like, yo, dude, I'm on Riviera, yo, with this film, and I'm chilling. That can happen as well. And we've been put at a point where we've been in hotels, we've been traveling. That's great too. But the thing about it is, I think people enter this game with stars in their eyes. I want to blow up. I'm going to blow up. That's why people will do a lot of stuff, because they figure you never know. Nobody wants to be that guy saying, yo, man, I'm supposed to be in the Negro Zone. Because matter of fact, I know a guy who's like that. He was supposed to be in the Negro Zone, and later on he heard about it, he was upset. Because the day we filmed, the day before he I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. But years later, he's like, yo, I was the guy who emailed you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's your own personal drive, I think, that's pushing things through. But in terms of for people out there, you know, what lessons have you gleaned from 17 years making films, you know, that you can share that might be a benefit to the future? We have 4 minutes.
Wow. I don't even know if 4 minutes is enough time, but I'm going to try. No, that's fine. I'll say this. What I've learned is sometimes you'll be surprised where your support comes from, but always be prepared. For example, we've talked about people who've been supporting us mainly in front of the camera. I can't forget some of the crew, like a Will Chandler, who's been ride or die with us going back to that first film project at film school, holding a light. We didn't have a light stand when it was hot. You know, Jacoby Simmons, yeah, we met him. We didn't meet him until we did the Negro Zone, but, you know, Jacoby's ride or die. You know, I could list a whole bunch of other names, Yende Mitchell, Thelma Reed, Tyrone Cannon, even Tatiana Bacchus just came through for us for a few times. We just been fortunate just to have people who want to support us. So, you know, you never know. I will say one of the benefits I believe of going to film school is relationships. Because, yes, I haven't come out of college with the big film deal, but some of the opportunities that I've been presented, whether it's freelance or just being able to do certain films with certain amount of help, is because of the relationships that I've been able to garner from film school. So
believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing to take away. Believe in yourself. You got an idea, do it. Nobody's going to follow you unless you do it. You go out on a boat right now with 10 people. The only way people won't start rowing the boat is they say, this guy knows where he's going. That's what it boils down to. No matter what you're doing, believe in yourself. That's the one thing about us. We've had so many people. We've had many uprisings on set. But like, look, and later on, okay, I'll say we're sorry because we didn't agree. But you got to constantly say, this is what's going to happen. We're going to make a Negro Zone. You don't like it, you can leave. But we're going to do this. We're going to make swing. There's people within our swing camp who don't want to make it. But every time it came out, they got supported. And now you're going to name nameless. But it's true. They would sit like, I don't like swing. We win another award? So be it.